Comic conventions started out as a place where fans and collectors of comic books could come and meet their favorite creators of said comics, as well as mingle with like-minded fans of the medium, with the first Comic-Con being in New York City 1964. A few years later, in 1970, the San Diego Golden Comic-Con became the most recognized show, having 100 attendees at the El Cortez Hotel. The success of this event led to the first full-fledged San Diego Comic-Con later that year, attracting over 300 participants. This past 2024 San Diego Comic-Con had an attendance of about 135,000 people. Over the years, many comic book conventions have came and went. The main staples outside of San Diego Comic-Con at this point are C2E2, Baltimore Comic-Con, Heroes Con, and New York City Comic-Con, all of which are still going pretty strong, with New York City Comic-Con having more attendance than San Diego Comic-Con this past year. The popularity of comic book culture has grown over the past few decades, thanks to things like superhero movies, video games, and TV shows. So has the concept of the comic book convention. To the dismay of many comic fanboy purists, these comic book conventions, especially the big ones like New York City and San Diego Comic-Con, have moved more into Hollywood spectacle than a celebration of the comic book medium and those who create it. Many of the people who go to these big time shows are more likely wanting to see their favorite actor or hope to get into an exclusive sneak peek at a upcoming superhero film than actually support the creators who are responsible for the ideas that have been turned into these multi-billion-dollar franchises. But those who do support these creators are very much appreciated. As a comic book creator myself, I always enjoy when someone takes their time just to check out my work. I'm even more grateful when someone is willing to spend their money on my work, because no matter what anyone says, people make art so others can see it and appreciate it. Today's comic book artist we are going to talk about wanted to show her fans how much she appreciated their support by giving them free signatures and low-cost commission sketches. This kind gesture started out in good faith but ended with people fighting over her artwork and causing the artist to panic and run away from her booth. Peach Momoko is a Japanese comic book artist and writer, born in Japan's Saitama Prefecture. Before getting to comics, Peach worked in a variety of artistic mediums, like painting and illustration, having her artwork shown in many galleries all over the world. In 2010, she moved to Portland, Oregon. In Portland, Peach and her husband Yo worked odd jobs like being dishwashers and baristas while Peach pursued her artistic career. According to Peach, her first comic art was featured in the winter 2013 and spring 2014 issues of Girls and Corpses magazine. In October 2015, Peach Momoko had her first exposure to comic conventions when she joined Girls and Corpses owner Rob Steve Ryan at Comic Haze, where he introduced her to an editor at Heavy Metal. This meeting led to Peach landing some of her next comic art in issues 288 and 290 of Heavy Metal. From 2015 to 2020, Peach participated in many galleries, shows, and collaborations with many different companies. In 2019, comic book artist Addie Granove introduced Momoko to Marvel Comics and aided her interest into the comic book industry. Peach's first work from Marvel was a variant cover for the 2019 Marvel Rises issue 1. After this, Peach worked with Upper Deck on a Marvel licensed trading cards. In 2020, Peach was part of Marvel's Stormbreakers program, which is a program that highlights the newest up-and-coming comic book artists, a more updated version of a similar program Marvel used to host named Marvel Young Guns. Peach signed an exclusive contract with Marvel in the same year and has been red hot since. Many people know her for her beautiful watercolor cutesy cover variants. Her artistic style is more often likened to shoujo or beautiful girl Japanese culture aesthetic you often see in shoujo manga and anime. Between her and Scotty Young, I believe they are both the most popular comic book artists out in comics today. Peach is not just a comic book cover artist, she has also worked on many interior pages of comics. My favorite being her contribution to Star Wars Darth Vader Black, White, and Red #1. I would highly recommend picking up this comic just for her mini story alone. In 2021, Peach started her own Momoko-verse with stories like Marvel's Demon Days and Demon Wars, which are a reimagining of the Marvel Universe in Japan with Japanese folklore influences. Currently, Peach is a writer and artist of the rebooted Ultimate X-Men, which I've personally enjoyed reading, love the art and the storyline so far. Now, through Peach's relatively short career in mainstream comics, she has amassed a huge following. A following so big that people have literally fought over her artwork, not once but twice at New York City Comic Con. Let's start at the 2022 New York City Comic Con. This was one of the first major in-person conventions to come back after the pandemic. During 2020 and 2022, Peach's name and popularity had grown tenfold. Peach was unaware of this massive leap in popularity. See, before the lockdown, Peach's attendance at conventions was pretty modest, and obviously Peach wasn't able to go to any conventions after she signed to Marvel in 2020. Peach had actually moved back to Japan a few years prior and just got to work on all of her cover arts and pages she had lined up for Marvel.
It was a bit shocking, the amount of people that was interested in Peach's signature or art. New York Comic Con was her first show since COVID hit. So it's been about 3 years since she did an international show. And 3 years ago, her line for Artist Alley wasn't crazy at all, and it just jumped like extremely at New York Comic Con. And she was happy, but at the same time she was a bit confused what was really happening.
At the 2022 Comic-Con, Peach was a premier guest and everyone wanted to see her. Guests of the show wanted to get their comics signed and commissions done by her. People were even more incentivized to come to her booth because Peach was signing guests' first 10 comics for free, as well as giving low-cost commission drawings. This seems like a really amazing offer from such a red-hot comic artist. But two things Peach didn't take into account. One, like I stated earlier, how massively popular she had become, and two, these predatory retailers and exhibitors who are going to take advantage of this offer. And these retailers definitely did take advantage of this offer. One guest at the New York City Comic Con gave his accounting of what happened at Peach's booth, stating, "I was on the VIP ADA line that day, and it was among the first handful of people to enter the Artist Alley that day, and already there were about 20 retailers lined up in front of Peach's booth." Now, these retailers getting in line before they were supposed to started an issue, but this issue became an even bigger problem when the convention staff started moving the regular attendees to the front of the line, pissing off these retailers. Another attendee that was a part of the group of people that were being moved to the front of the line stated this: "One of the retailers became upset because the group of us with regular badges were being moved to the front of the line by con staff. I literally blinked and two men were yelling at each other, with one of the vendors saying stuff like, 'I wish you would put your hands on me.' Security was also there to keep them separated, but no one was removed. Security, con staff, and myself would get everyone calm, and then the vendor guy would start threatening the other guy, and it would start all over." This whole argument led to Peach stepping away from her booth, leading to no one getting their comics signed or commissioned drawings done. Let's fast forward to the 2024 New York City Comic Con. This time, Peach Momoko wasn't actually at this show. Well into her run on Ultimate X-Men, Peach didn't have the time or maybe even the desire to show up to this year's New York City Comic Con, but what did show that had her name on it was a Spawn 357 variant cover by the Fruit pseudonym user. Todd McFarlane, a comic book icon and legend, had a booth at the 2024 convention with one very hot item, which was a New York City Comic Con exclusive Spawn Peach Momoko variant cover that was selling for $40 unsigned and $60 with a Todd McFarlane signature on it. Once the doors opened for this show, the line at Todd's booth was capped off in 5 minutes. This cover was only available for attendees to buy, but yet again, retailers took advantage of their early access to set up their own booths as a way to get in line before regular convention goers could get in. These retailers would simply switch out their vendor passes and change them for regular ones. All this commotion and hectic line situation led to hands being thrown over this Spawn cover, vendors fighting over line space so they could buy this comic and flip it. Some copies of this variant cover were being sold for upwards of $500. An eyewitness of the fight and was one of the 100 people waiting in line to get this book gave a statement to Bleeding Cool, a prominent news site that mainly covers comic book stories and topics, stated only New York City Comic Con attendees were given access to purchase the Spawn Peach Momoko variant cover, but not vendors. So of course, vendors got regular passes and placed them around their necks to act like regular attendees to get their hands on them. Fans don't fight with one another. Vendors and retailers fight against one another because they want to get their hands on the copies to sell. But for us fans, it was a mere chance of getting a comic that we actually care about. He continued with, I was placed 180 to 190 on the line when it was mayhem, barely thinking of having a slight chance of getting a copy since the end of the line was right behind me when closing of the line. So was it fair for actual fans to wait outside in the cold for hours and merely have a chance to get a copy? This was my very first Todd McFarlane signed comic with my favorite artist Peach Momoko, and I went through hell just to get it, only for vendors and retailers to ruin it. Apparently before the doors opened to get to McFarlane's booth, there had already been 100 to 200 people waiting in line. Now there's a common theme here to why these fights keep happening. Let's see what they could be. Is it the artist's fault for giving out such generous deals for highly sought out comics? Is it the comic convention's fault for not regulating these lines better? Or is it the retailer's fault for being so thirsty to get a copy or signature of these books that they are willing to cheat the system and fight just to get their grubby little hands on these books just to make a quick buck? If you pick option 2 or 3, you are more or less right. Comic book retailers and speculators really ruin comic book conventions. I understand that buying and flipping comics is a part of the American comic book culture. It kind of shows you the market of what's hot and what's not. Even through my experiences trying to buy and sell comics, most comic book fans more or less want the same books. Go to any buy, sell, or trade comic book Facebook page and you'll literally see the same comics being sold over and over. Either way, it's all good and fun if that's your thing, but it becomes shitty when grown adults are literally fighting and arguing over comics. When people are ruining not only attendees' times at these shows, but also the guests who come all this way from places like Japan, as is the case with Peach Momoko, and take their time out of their busy schedule to show love to their fans just for you, the retailer or vendor, to completely ruin it. After the incident at the 2022 New York City Comic Con, Peach Momoko made a post on her Instagram with the caption stating, I am happy I got to meet so many fans, but at the same time I am sick to my stomach that I didn't handle the situation correctly. I sincerely apologize to everyone, especially on Sunday with that being Kids Day. I wish I prepared better for at least them. I hear some people making an assumption that I might not attend any more shows, but that is wrong. I may be mentally weak, but I love my fans and I will be back to do more shows. I will be stronger and make sure to be more prepared next time. Peach's husband and manager Yo Matsu has talked about his experiences trying to fight off retailers who were trying to get in line before the show doors open, repeatedly telling them to go away just for them to turn around a few minutes later and get back in line. Eventually losing track of those people once a full rush of con goers got in line. All in all, it seems to be a gift and a curse to be a mega popular comic book artist. Peach learned this the hard way, and in no way am I saying any of these events that took place regarding her comics were her fault, even if she takes blame for herself. Personally, this is far from it. She is only in control of the quality of her work, not the responses people get from it. Peach is seemingly one of the most genuine comic book creators out right now, who truly cares not only about her craft, but about the people who support her work.
I'll tell you a little story about Peach.
Okay.
My LCS was broken into. People bashed through the window, stole some stuff, but Peach saw that. And this is before she was exclusive to Marvel, you know. She saw that and reached out to me and said, hey, we want to help out. She provided us images to be able to sell on a t-shirt for the very first US release of Peach Momoko merch.
Oh, wow.
All the proceeds went to the LCS. We were able to fix the window, the door, get security cameras for our entire place. And this is before she was like really big.
Before she was the Peach.
Like, listen to that amazing story. Thankfully, none of this has deterred Peach from wanting to go to shows or conventions. She has made appearances at more international cons as of late, but I'm sure her next time stepping foot in an American Comic Con will have more or less the same hecticness. Hopefully, these venues have taken heed and will put in the right precautions for her and her fans to have an enjoyable time. I appreciate you watching this video to the end. I just found these events to be pretty interesting. Obviously, comic books aren't the only medium that have like toxic fandoms. I mean, there's anime fans and manga fans that are super toxic, sports fans and fans of like rappers, rock stars and stuff like that who are super crazy and do crazy stuff for their, you know, person that they admire and stuff like that. My only question is if these vendors, these retailers actually do care about the art that they're like trying to buy and sell. You know what I'm saying? Like with these covers, these exclusive covers and stuff like that. It seems like they don't care, that they're just trying, they understand the business of comics and they just want to get in there, get their money and just leave. So, I mean, that's just a question for me because, you know, fans of like, say like Playboy Cardi, they rush in to go see him. They want to buy all of his shit. They go crazy over him, saying like Travis Scott, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, you know, these A-list celebrities and stuff like that. But when it comes to like comic books, I feel like there's such a vast variety of artists and people who you can be fans and people who you have no idea about. But you can also just be the guy who just seeing it as like the stock market and just buying stuff, flipping it, buying it, flipping it, and whatever the case is. But like I said earlier in the video, I am a comic book creator myself. I currently have 2 books out right now, Scrub and Tit for Tat. You can buy them on my website right now. I also have a bundle deal going on right now. You can buy both the comics for a discounted price. It's just a thing that I set up to show my appreciation for everybody who's been supporting this channel and supporting me as a creator so far. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for watching this video to the very end. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.